What it do, surprise Shawty crew? Okay, so the plan this morning is to do two. One might be a little lengthy. The other one, it shouldn't be too lengthy. But I had pretty much told y'all I had been dreaming a whole lot of dreams that was like, like wanting what I had and stuff again. And I was like, I'm going to just ignore it. And still, like, it's easy to get so wrapped up in this subject and we can't. And that's why I wasn't making words, because I felt like God was telling me, like, you don't have time. Like, where I'm taking you, you don't have time to be wrapped up in it. We need to be aware, but we don't have time to be wrapped up in it. We need to be aware so that we know how to move, because the enemy is going to continue to move like how he moves, which is through people, right? So we need to be aware, but so that we can move accordingly. Don't get wrapped up in any of this, okay? I'm gonna hit on quite a few things, and I wrote it down like journal style, of course, but oh well. I never released a full word for the coveted position, which he gave me at the beginning of the year, I think. And if it wasn't the beginning of the year, it was like towards the end of last year. But I never released a word for that. And it could be anything. It could be like your job, like the dream I had last week, or your actual assignments on the job. It could be your position with your spouse. It could be your position in your church. It could be your position on YouTube or any social media platform. It could be your position of influence, right? It could be your position in the family. It could, like, literally just your position. So you'll know whatever it is, but it's a highly coveted position. It could be your gifts. Okay. Come on, Holy Spirit. I might hit on that later. I plan on calling this two different things. One, stop comparing. And then two, the blessings police. And there's something that happened to me some months ago, and sometimes it'll just play out in my head. And I knew when it happened, God was telling me, like, this is how it be. And I was kind of irritated by it, but I be trying to, let stuff go, get beyond things. And I really do feel like this is like a finals week. I think a lot of times we'll peep stuff, but because of who does it, we don't want to like accept it. But in those moments, God is revealing their heart postures towards us, whether we want to accept it or not, whether it's grown into this big, vicious, black Jezebel dog or not. But it's at like the infant puppy stages of that spirit. Do you get what I'm saying? So I'm going to tell y'all about what happened, but then it's going to tie into like what I got for the ending, okay? Let's see how the Holy Spirit takes us through these notes. Blessed are the pure in heart, right? Not the spiteful, revengeful, covetous hearts that compare and compete, because it's not them. Because if it's not them or for them, they'll talk down on it. And so this is the example I'm going to give y'all, because a lot of times for me, I'm a little delayed in picking up on things. So for me, it'll be like, I'll have conversations with people and stuff, and it'll hit me like a few days later, like, was they trying to be slick? Like it's always a few days later. I never catch it in the moment, right? And so the example he gave me, which I'm gonna give y'all, is God gives. Okay, he was giving me stuff like it really was like a test. So if this was like an actual question on a test, right? Like we're in our final exam prep for dealing with jealousy and Jezebel, right? This question. God gives Sue a chocolate cake. God gives Sarah a vanilla cake. Both cakes both made by the same company. Because say he gives somebody else strawberry or somebody else lemon, all made by the same company though, which means they're the same quality cake, just different flavors. All right. So Sue, who got the chocolate cake, she's happy. She's content with her cake. She's excited. She's not even worried about Sarah and her vanilla cake. Sue is pure in heart, right? Therefore blessed. We would circle pure in heart. All right. However, Sarah with the vanilla cake says stuff like, chocolate cake isn't even good. I wouldn't even want that cake. Sarah is a hater. Okay, but deeper than that, She is moving with a spirit of comparison, competition, jealousy, all of that, right? Because you have vanilla cake. So why are you even making comments about chocolate? Comments at that's talking down on negative about something that's not yours, a position that's not yours per se, a blessing that's not yours per se. Why do you feel the need to talk down about it? And sometimes it doesn't even have to be like a blessing. Like, y'all, I go back and think about so many red flags that he gave me in relationships, friendships with girls that I should have been dipped out on. But I was so delayed in catching on to things. Like, you know, people like, okay, this is the example I'm thinking about today. I was saying, like, I'm about to go get my nails done. This was back when I was getting my longer acrylics, which I'm so sad my nail tech is moving. And so I was going to get my nails done. And she was like, I got good nails anyways. I don't have to do all that. Stuff like that. You got to pay attention to the comments like that. Because if you don't get acrylics done, then why are you even talking about it? Like, you get what I'm saying? That's that spirit. So that's another example, because it don't always have to be like a blessing. So now you know they competing with you. They trying to feel better about themselves in that particular area because they're already comparing y'all's lives in another area. And I had it wrote on this back page, when you're like that, you already lost. And that's how I feel. Like, you can't receive because now your heart's not pure, and so you already lost. If you're in competition or you're comparing with somebody else, you've already lost, because there's no competition in the kingdom. Absolutely none. So you are already a loser. You made yourself a loser, and you weren't going to be a loser if you would have just focused on yourself, because in the kingdom we all win. This is the blessed winning team over here. But when you start moving like that, you put yourself on the losing team because the enemy moved like that. I made these shirts and it said the enemy is my biggest hater. That's how he moves. That is how he moves. God ain't no hater. The enemy is a hater, right? So I'm going to come back to that, though. That's on the back page. So let me go back up to where we were just at. Now, Sue being happy about her cake, and instead of Sarah being happy about her cake, she's talking down on what was Sue's, right? Unnecessary. Like, completely unnecessary. That's like, what made you say that? You get what I'm saying? And I know sometimes people will say stuff and their heart's intentions are still pure, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, like, people will tell on themselves and what they choose to say to you when they choose to say it to you. You get what I'm saying? Okay, so then that was more so the comparing example he gave me. Now, the blessings police. I wrote, why are you counting someone else's blessings? It's a blessing to mind your own. And when you're upset because you feel like somebody has more than you, or they're blessed more than you, and you're mad at them because of what they got going on, which, again, why are you even counting somebody else's blessings? You're really mad at God, because I went through this whole phase, so tired of this, always tired of feeling guilty for my blessings, feeling guilty for the good things I had going on in my life and stuff. And it got to a point where, like, if you got a problem, you can take it up with God, because I don't control how I'm blessed. You don't control how you're blessed. None of us controls how we're blessed. It says blessed are the pure in heart, but everything is God. So he chooses how he blesses people, and it's more to it than that too. And I'm going to come back to that. So let me stick a pin right there, okay? It's not fair. Such and such got XYZ. Like, have you ever seen a kid do that? Like, they have a whole tantrum and it's not fair. They got this. That's how a grown person looks in the spirit when they act like that. It's not fair. You gave them this, God. Go take that up with God and let me know what God tells you. Because he's not going to tell you, he's going to take it away from them because you feel a way about it. That's not how that works. It wasn't yours to give. That's why I said blessings police. How you out here policing something that wasn't even yours to give? Okay, which is going to bring me to the example that had happened. Learning one of my, like, I ain't gonna say it's a gift, but sometimes I'll just have, like, these most random phrases in my head for like a week, and I'm gonna pay no mind to them. Like, 1 week it was, it go get your money back. And I didn't know why I kept, like, saying that. It was for those who had potentially paid somebody to do something on you, like curse you or something, like, and go get your money back because it's not gonna work. Like, and that's what it was. Okay, so all last week it kept being, one thing my parents didn't raise, and that's a hater. And I didn't know where it was coming from, because I don't really, like, I said in the community post last night, like, I be saying to myself, so I didn't know where that was coming from, right? And so I wrote, worry about yourself. My parents didn't raise a hater. But the reason they didn't raise a hater is because they didn't teach us to compare. And so when you're hating on somebody, that's actually what you're really doing internally. You're comparing. And so because you're comparing, like, I'm still tripping off the cake example he gave me, because if you got a vanilla cake, why are you worried about the person chocolate? That don't even make sense to me, right? But that's what happens. So if somebody's hating, they're comparing. I also wrote, 9 times out of 10, I'm not worried about the next person, which I'm not, because my parents just taught us to be like that. I've never seen my parents do that. I've never seen them hate on nobody. I've never seen them compare what they had going on to anybody. So I learned that from them. I don't do that, right? Like, that spirit was never like in our home. They didn't compare me to other people. Like, I don't. And so I understand it comes in different ways, right? I mind my business and I mind it well. That's something we say a lot too. And by chance, I do know somebody's business, or they do tell me something, I be happy for them. Y'all, ain't got no hate in my blood or no jealousy. That's what her says in that song. I just don't. I have never struggled with that. I don't have that in me. Okay. So the next part, because I was saying my parents didn't teach us to be like that. They didn't raise us to be like that, right? Go ahead and interject. I do wholeheartedly recognize how blessed I am. And this is something I put in the kids video yesterday. And then I saw it echo on social media yesterday, and it really made me like feel good, because it's not something that's always said, always talked about, right? Like, what we're talking about right now is people comparing their blessings to your blessings, like on a level like this. But what I wrote down and what I was talking about yesterday, at the top of the paper, I wrote down, what about your parents' sacrifices and obedience? My life is a direct result of the decisions that my parents made. And so sometimes I know that, like, people will be mad at me and Morgan. People have said stuff to our parents, you know, different things. And it's like, they did make the sacrifices, right? Did obey God in more than one way, in different areas. And when we live like that, he's a God of generations. So he will bless the generations through your obedience, right? Or he will curse the generations through your disobedience. And so a lot of time it would be like, I'll be catching heat. And it's like, first of all, I definitely can't apologize for what my parents did. You know, it's one thing to make me feel like I should apologize for my life. It's another thing when it's like, what you want me to do? Those are the decisions they made. Those are sacrifices and obedience steps that they took. And it has only positively affected my life. Do you get what I'm saying? And so a lot of times people be like, you don't know what they went through. Like, if you're comparing what you went through to what somebody else went through, you also don't know what their parents went through, what their parents gave up, what their parents did for God. And now he's rewarding them through the generations, right? And this can be a very sensitive subject. We was talking yesterday about that, but everybody don't have bad. You either have a good heart or you don't. I know people who have been through so much stuff, and we don't compare the bad stuff we've been through either, right? But they show the most love to me. They have the purest heart. And then I know people who have been through bad things and they just hate me. You get what I'm saying? Either you got a pure heart or you don't. And I don't. It's just, it's kind of like, period. Like, either you do or you don't, right? And so for me, in my twin flame relationship, like I said, it's a very sensitive subject. We fight about it all the time. He will always make me feel bad because I didn't have to deal with different things, struggle with different things. But out of his same mouth, he would tell me how he was going to do everything he could to make sure his child didn't. So are you making me feel bad for having a father who did for me exactly what you're saying you're going to do for your child? You get what I'm saying? People sometimes miss that. And so, no, maybe I didn't have to get it out the mud when it came to different things, right? But my daddy did. My mama did. They broke different generational curses on the bloodline. So it would be easier for me and my siblings. And every generation is supposed to get better. So even in saying that, that don't mean the work just stops for me and my siblings. We're going to break off the things that they didn't to make the next generation better. We're supposed to build, generate wealth, create all those things, keep everything going. And people they lose that Like, the work don't stop just because they did good and we straight. I got to make sure that the next generation is straight and even better, right? So people miss that. It ain't even about just a parenting on that level. You don't know what my parents did or their parents did that had a positive trickling effect down to us, and vice versa, because the disobedience, the sins of the forefathers, that can trickle down and have a negative effect on the generations, right? So, want to throw that in there too. I don't know who needs that, but I know me and him used to fight about that all the time. Like, I don't get it. And then he later apologized. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, no, like, you really made me feel like I'm a horrible person that don't deserve nothing. Because there's a lot of people who feel like, if your life a certain level of ease, you don't deserve to be blessed, which is what's going to bring me down to this next part. But he would always apologize. But that's because he was still soaring through his own hurts and pains and stuff. Like, I wish I would have had that. And then instead of admitting that, take it to God, he would take it out on me, knowing you're going to do what you can for your daughter to live easier. So the next part. So this is what happened. We were at an event, and sometimes I know when God's favor on my life is picking up to where others can see it, because different things like this will happen. Like, I'll get like a free dessert or a free drink or something while I'm out, and I'm like, why? They just because. And at this particular event, we was doing different stuff. I was winning. And then I was winning prizes because I won the games or whatever. But then they had these extras left over. But because I had told my mama, like, sis favored me. Like, as soon as I came in, she was just so helpful, anything she could do. And so at the end, they had leftover stuff. And she was like, I'm going to give this stuff to you just because I think people with pure hearts pick up on other people with pure hearts. That's just me. And so, because that's how I am. Like, I won't always know why I feel like doing for somebody in me that's like, I can relate. Like, and so I had already won a couple of prizes. And then she was giving me some of the extra ones, like, that I did not have to play for. Somebody that's supposed to be my friend snatched it out of my hand when the woman gave it to me and was like, you already have enough stuff. Snatched it out of my hand. What? And in that moment, I was like, oh my God. Like, really? And so that goes back to the counting other people's blessings and stuff. Because if you're doing it on that level with like prizes at a little event, what do you think they're doing on the larger grand scheme of things, right? And literally swiped it. Like, you already came out of her mouth. And that's how I'd be like, I don't know if people realize when they do stuff like this, but you already have enough stuff and swiped it. Okay. And so when I got to this part of the notes, I wrote down, they see you with a good thing, they try to take it away, which was in the song from last night. He talks about even your best friend saying sly remarks and stuff to put you down. This is coming together. Okay. So I think that's all the notes on the front page. But that's the people that are more like sabotagers, and they that's covetous. They want what's yours. They'll try to take it, right? I'm actually going to stop right here and do a part 2 to this, so stay tuned. Okay, so I love y'all, but just be mindful of those things, those mindsets on people, and of course aware that it is coming through their hurts and wounds and things. Like I said, like, we would argue about it, but then it would always be like, I'm sorry, because he recognized that's what, like, I didn't actually do anything to you. Like, okay, let me go tell my parents you feel away because I'm blessed because they tried to make sure that I was. You get what I'm saying? Or let me go tell God you need to take my blessings away, God, because they're upset. That don't even make sense. Why would I go do that? Okay? And I struggled with that for years, and finally getting to a place was like, I'm not gonna feel bad for this. I'm not. And then when I think about, like, y'all, I bust my butt now and don't even have kids to make sure that they're straight. Pastor preached that yesterday, right? Literally. And I was like, right. It's stuff that I want to do now, and I don't do just because I know it'll negatively affect them, even if it don't affect me. Do you get what I'm saying? You don't know. And look, why am I hearing prepare to be sick of me? I can't stand myself. But no, for real, because people will call you spoiled. I had this girl talking crazy to me because she found out I got an allowance in high school, and it was just like, and I'm aware that it's like their hurts and traumas and things, and it could be people who got the same thing you got, just going down to the cakes, and it's just a different flavor, and they'll feel away because it was two girls trying to play me like I was stupid and spoiled and weak because of that. And I don't forget stuff like that, and that's why this is going to carry over into the next part. But and people don't act like jealousy and stuff is not in the Bible, because it is. It 100% is. Okay, so I love y'all. I'll see y'all in the next one.